Hello, ladies and gentlemen of SeemsGoodMagic.com. This is Travis Simulant Sowers, and we're jumping into an Oath of the Gatewatch Battle for Zendikar 8-4 fast build single elimination draft. We're getting close to the end of the format, and Shadows over Innistrad will be with us soon. I'm sure that we will also have some sort of cube offering. I think I saw something about the legendary cube coming back for the near future. So I have a couple weeks where we're drafting stuff that's gonna disappear. And then it will be all hype for Shadows over Innistrad. So fasten your safety belt, because at the end of a format, you can have a lot of fun trying to build a wacky deck, or build a good deck, or just kind of seeing an interesting draft as everybody sort of knows what they're doing, and some people are starting to get bored and try weird stuff. I have seen triple Sky Scourer aggro decks, Stoneforge Masterwork Eldrazi decks in the past few days, so it's been some fun stuff. Anyway, we'll see in just a second for the drafting. And here we go. Well, that is a card to start you off, eh? We've got Worldbreaker and cards that are not Worldbreaker. So I'm guessing we're going to break some worlds. There are other cards that are here. Isolation Zone being a card that's obviously first pickable. Isolation Zone and Oblivion Strike kind of make you lose some of the depth in a draft format because they're just snap auto first picks. Hemorrhage is not one of those types of cards, although it's still good. Soothsayer is another card that I like a lot. It requires a little bit of building around, and I've gotten trapped in the not too distant past, as in yesterday, building decks that really can't take advantage of it because it's a 5-mana 4/4 in a lot of decks. Speaking of 5-mana 4/4s, this one at least has Trample. But we're going to start out breaking some worlds and kind of see where we can go from there. Obviously now we have an incentive to take rampy cards. It's a reason to be green, which I don't need much of a reason to be green. I already like green in this format, but it's a fine way to start a draft. Plus, if you ever resolve one of these, which I have, it is a hell of a lot of fun, especially if they're splashing or have a man land or have an awakened land, or the thing that does the thing that we just passed, the zone. Isolation Zone. That's it. We got there. Good job, Travis. So yeah, we have some options. One is we can take an Embodiment of Fury, which would be pretty cool. We can also consider a Tajuru Path Warden. I don't like this quite as much, although it does cut green a little bit. I don't think that's super crazy valuable. This is probably the best card. The best card to go with the Worldbreaker may very well be the S-Laughter Drone or the Seer's Lantern. It's a little early for me to want to grab a Lantern, but it's not ridiculous for me to think that I want a Slaughter Drone. This is more of a mid-range creature than a ramp creature. So we could just take that, but like, red-green isn't super-duper rampy. Like, you kind of want Worldbreaker as a finisher in your control deck, and Slaughter Drone lets you do that. Now, this is a little bit of getting married to your first pick, I suppose, but I'm going to take the Slaughter Drone. I expect there will be folks who disagree, and that's good. That's kind of what Magic is all about, is disagreeing with Travis. Well, not necessarily disagreeing with Travis, but we may end up in a position where we splash Worldbreaker in another deck, because this pack doesn't really have anything here. If we're going to take a 2-color card, it would probably be the Flayer Drone. I mean, we could take the Reality Hemorrhage and kind of be super sad that we just passed that Embodiment of Fury. But I mean, I could see some sort of black-red control deck shaping up. It would need some Boulder Salvos. It would need an Oblivion Strike. I mean, this is probably the best card in the pack with the start that we've got, so let's take it and see where we end up. Why not take a Mind Melter? We'll just play all the colors. I think Saddleback probably fits what we're doing the best, although Warden is also somewhat interesting. I'm not really getting a good read on what colors are open, but this seems to be a, hey, it's okay to draft green. Green-white? Like, that's a fairly late Step Glider. Like, these two cards are somewhat replaceable. I'd like to play them. I don't have to play them. I mean, I'm going to want a Seer's Lantern in my deck, but I'm going to continue taking the best card until we get a clear direction for what we should be doing. Like, taking something like this means the upside later is we could potentially have a really good deck. There's another Zada's Commando, but I'm going to go again with the Lagak. It keeps us in World Breaker colors. Still gives us the option for the Slaughter Drone. And if we do end up white and just grab a bunch of 2-drops, you can finish a game with jumped 2-drops. That's Zada's Commando number 500. Expedition Raptor to go with our nothing. This is actually a tough pick for me, but it looks like green-white might be the direction, with possibly red having been a thing we just completely derped on. I'll take this and see where we go. If this is our start, we're just going to take all the 2-drops we see in the next pack. And probably be pretty dang good. None of these cards are amazing. We're not going to want Sky Scour, so I'll take the Mage, as it looks like we're hedging white. I have to see if anything interesting comes back by. Not really. None of this is particularly playable. I'm going to grab a Wastes. We'll probably want some colorless sources to activate Home Slice here, and that gives us a searchable one. Like, white-green is usually the beatdown color, not the World Breaker color, but I don't mind having a 7-drop in the deck. And with our cost now, I mean, we'd be happy to take some Hedron Crawlers and stuff like that. This is not how I expected the draft to go, but we'll take it. Since we're kind of in our colors, I'll take the lead, but like I said, we need 2-drop creatures now. We've kind of got all the high-end we'll ever need for this deck. And even stuff like Loam Larva starts to get good when you can Lagak it. Take a Vines. I don't know how many combat tricks we're going to fit in here, but we'll see. Canopy Gorger? Sure, maybe. I've played it. I've also played Elemental Uprising. I don't usually start at main deck, but it might be a thing we do. I like to have a separate pile for stuff that I might play and a separate pile for lands. So like Uprising and Dazzling Reflection could happen. Wastes might happen. Not even really sure what we want here. Like some number of allies to go with the Spawnbinder Mage. We could just as easily though end up back in black, because like the only really good white card we have is the Glider. The Mage and the Raptor, while fine, are not really above replacement level. So say we open up with a Stalking Drone and get past an Oblivion Strike. Alright, all of a sudden we're black. The Lagaks played just fine with the Slaughter Drones. I guess I should leave that over here so I can kind of be aware of the fact that we're not committed to white yet. All of a sudden, I'm very interested in basically this pack. It has Essence Depleter, which if we go hard colorless, the card's just an absurd finisher. It also has Relief Captain. If I take the Relief Captain and then just literally take nothing but 2-drops for the rest of the draft, we've got a really difficult to beat aggro curve. And like, it's impossible to tell what was open. We could also just take the removal spell and hedge in that direction, but I always feel like when I'm playing an Essence Depleter, I'm just winning. We don't have good colorless sources. We didn't see good colorless sources. We'd have to pick them up this pack. God, this is tough because there's 3 cards I want. Well, I think I'm actually going to take the O-Strike, which really hurts. But I don't want to play a deck that just has stone no removal. The Embodiment of Insight would be a really good pickup for us, but I think I'm going to have to take the Seer's Lantern here, as I want one in the deck. And if I don't take it here, I don't know where I'm supposed to get it. Like, it looks like those are going earlier and earlier. Embodiment is so much better than the Canopy Gorger. Maybe I just take that and move along. If I don't take my colorless sources soon, though, I'm really going to regret it. Alright, so if we had stayed on the white train, we'd have some allied reinforcements and such. But I think I just have to grab a holdout settlement now. That's not the colorless source I want, but there's not really anything else here for us. We're going to have to run some numbers for this guy. So blue was the color, is what you're telling me. Scion Summoner's fine. It gives us a colorless source as well as bodies for the Lagak to interact with. I kind of wasn't expecting to see all of those drones. Like, I can take another Lagak. I keep thinking we're going to have black and green 2-drops, but it doesn't look like we are. I'm still going to do it because I'm a monster. There we go. There's who I was looking for, in the same pack with the Unknown Shores, but we'll take it. We will take it. Hedron Crawler, what's up? Not only does it help ramp us to our embodiment and World Breaker, I mean, making it a 1/2 isn't irrelevant. You build your own Llanowar Eldrazi construct goblin thing. Okay, we're doing a thing. We're doing a thing. I wouldn't mind some spiders. It's a weird stalking drone. Goat there. We need an Evolving Wilds pretty badly to make these guys actually work. Like a true gift would be wheeling one of those Seer's Lanterns. If that happens, we actually have a pretty good deck. That is not what happened. We wielded the Oath of Nisa. Which, considering our deck is mostly creatures and spells, we probably play. I mean, I want 2-drops, but I don't think I want them bad enough to play a Sky Scourer. This is replacement level, but it's not bad. I mean, it's generally not going to whiff. Like, what could it whiff with? Vines, Lead by Example, and O-Strike? That's not going to happen very often. Maul, what's going to pose us the most problems here? Probably a Maul. So I'll hack that. Witness the End. I'm not above playing that. I played Witness and liked it quite a bit. It's a format where people are incentivized to make their land drops. Corpse Churn is somewhat playable. You don't really need it to buy back a World Breaker, but it can help you find one sometimes. Anyway, I was saying it's a format where people are incentivized to make their land drops because they've got 6 and 7 drops in the deck. Which means that you're usually going to hit business with Witness the End. And even if you don't, and you do take their land drops, again, most decks have a reason to want to get to 6 or 7 mana. There's mana sinks in every color. Even the red-white decks have Valakut Invokers and Cliffside Lookouts and things of that nature. None of this really matters. I'll just hack a slip. It's interesting that the land's already gone. That could be a neighbor trying to signal to us that they're not in those colors. Like, we don't really have great black cards, but other than the blue stuff, I didn't really see a reason to move into another color. I think Evolving Wilds has to be a top pick for us because our 2-drops get a lot better if we can hit that wastes early. Other than that, I just want a couple 3s. Maybe one more decent removal spell. I'd take a Grip of Desolation. That would be fine. That would be acceptable. Gruesome S-Laughter is not really the droid I'm looking for. Kozilek's Channeler may just be what I want here. If I had that Essence Depleter, which I wish I had, it would be even better, but I don't have it. There is a Blighted Step if we wanted another colorless source, but I don't think we want one that bad. Cutthroat could be okay, but I'm going to go with the Channeler here. Like a 4/4 for 5 isn't amazing, but it's okay. It's okay. This is actually an interesting one. Blue is open as it always is. I had a good draft on stream the other day with a blue-white deck, which they say isn't supposed to work anymore, but oddly does. The drone plays well with the Legax. Broodhunter Worm is a decent beater. And Giant Mantis is decent protection from flyers, which we're a little soft to. But right now we're not really so much of a ramp deck as we are an aggro deck with these Legax. And the way it's turned out, we might have been better off going into the white. But I shouldn't have to take culling drones here. So it's a question of whether I want something that can be a little more assertive or something that can be a little more defensive. And I think I'd rather just take the Broodhunter Worm. It's gotten better than it was in BFZ for sure. Hey, there's another good thing for us to cast at the top end. I don't mind 2 7-drops. And Bane will finish a game. There's a lot of cards here I'd be interested in. We could play the Strangler. Like if we pick up one more Ingest, we could actually do a thing with it. It's a 3-drop, which is fine, but I want to cast a Saddleback Legac and support onto a Bane. That's what I want to be doing. Snapping Gnarlid is a fine 2-drop to get supported onto. We're going to end up playing both of these combat tricks as our finishers. Like, right now, we're basically mono green. Meh. We could even conceivably splash for the Step Glider, but it gets a little worse when you can't multiple activate it. We also didn't get our Evolving Wilds, so these drones are just okay. I guess they're a little better than okay with the idea that we've got the Crawler and at least 2 sources here to turn on the Death Touch. This is a weird deck. All of them have been kind of weird lately. So normally I'm not thrilled about Dominator Drone, but I've kind of got 2 5s and 2 7s. I don't think I need another 5. I think I just need something else I can cast before we cast a Legac, if that's what we're doing, and it looks like that's what we're doing. So red was what I was supposed to be doing, I guess. We're a bit short playables. I could consider a Bone Splinter, although we don't have great interactivity with it. We don't really have any other way to kill something, although Plummet is yeah, I've talked myself into it. I'm going to take the Plummet. We may be a bit short on playables and have to play like Corpse Churn and Witness the End. But this is basically the Black Anticipate. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I've actually sideboarded Voracious Null in some recently when people are casting Containment Membranes and Tightening Coils on your dudes. It's a decent way to cash that in. It's not great. Vampiric Rites is better, but I'll take another worm. The All Creature All the Time deck can do a thing. Can we do anything with Titan's Presence? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 creatures that enable it for a relatively low value. I mean, it's not quite enough, but I think it's the pick for us. I'd like to have a little more enablers. So we just kind of have to accept that this is going to be a whiff sometimes. But the fact that we have the Channeler, the Bane, and the World Breaker means we can do a thing with it. The fact that we're not really mono-colorless means we're not going to do much often. But like these guys turn it into a 3-mana shock, which is somewhat terrible. I mean, it's not exactly a 3-mana shock. It's a 3-mana searing glare that doesn't require them to be attacking or blocking. Okay, yeah, it sounds worse and worse the more I say about it. Touch of the Void Wield. So there's a pretty good red deck. I guess we're going to wrap up with the Mindraker. We now have 3 ways to ingest cards. So Mediocre Hill Giant is mediocre. The Bane of Balagad also enables it. I would trade most of the cards in the deck for another Hedron Crawler. Scour may be the droid we have to play. Like if there's another matchup where we're just facing another ramp deck, we'll be happy that we have that. Eyeless Watcher. Alright, in. Done. We want this. I would play a Mortuary Mire in this deck, but this Eyeless Watcher's just better. I think I'm going to cut a Broodhunter Worm for it. The Mindraker at least plays favorably with Titan's presence on both ends, and that we can use it to cast it, and we can, if we've cast it and exiled one of their dudes, we can, you know, do the thing. Portal Thicket at least combos with the Waste. We got the Baloth anyway, not that we wanted it. I'm not playing this in a 2-color deck, and we've already got 2 somewhat mediocre tricks. You have not lived until you've cast Angelic Gift on a Bane of Balagad. Let me tell you, that is something you should do before this format is over, because it's a lot of fun. In review, I don't think black was actually open. It looks like we should have been green-red. So is that second picking a Slaughter Drone over the Embodiment of Fury that probably sent us on a wildly incorrect track. If we add in some Zada's Commandos, a Reality Hemorrhage, I think this deck looks significantly better than what we've got. Because basically we're playing black for 2 Slaughter Drones, a Dominator Drone, a Mindraker, and an Oblivion Strike. It's not actually a good reason to be playing black. We also didn't manage to get really any good way to get these lands out. So a lot of our colorless activated abilities aren't going to happen. That makes me feel a little bit better about passing the Essence Depleter. We will have some Scions to sack, but I think they're mostly here to try to ramp out these 2 gentlemen. But here we are. I think we can do something with this at least. I want probably... I was going to say 7. So if we go 7, 8, that gives me 8, 9, 10-ish green, 7-ish black. And this can help me find another one. We'll take it. We'll take it. The mana's not great for a 2-color with a light splash for activation, but we also never got the Seer's Lantern that I wanted. Yeah, I think we were supposed to be doing something more assertive if we were drafting perfectly for the seat. But the way the deck ended up, I don't hate it. It can get some stuff done. So we're going to submit this and see you guys for round 1 in just a moment. Thanks for tuning in.